Page 325 continued. The experimentalists and innovators. Samuel Beckett is indeed among the most daring of recent novelists. According to Andrew Piasecki, Piaschcki, quote, Beckett is one of the most singular and original writers to appear in English, or possibly in France, printing mistake, since 1945, unquote, stop. A friend and associate of the Irish expatriate James Joyce, he was greatly influenced by him as also by the French novelist Marcel Proust, Proust. His fascination for words and his use of the stream of consciousness technique are strongly suggestive of the influence of Joyce. Beckett is better known as a dramatist than as a novelist. His play, Waiting for Godot, G-O-D-O-T, is a modern classic, a locus classicus of modernist absurd drama. His vision as a novelist, too, is strongly laced with absurdism and even nihilism. In his 1950s trilogy comprising Molly, Maloney Dies, and The Unnameable Aged Outcasts, tell their own stories with grimness and black humor, which underline the futility of their pastime. Beckett's novels, in the words of Andrew Roberts, quote, represent the ultimate breakdown of the classic realist novel, stop, unquote, para. John Fowles, 1926 carries on Beckett's exploration of the possibilities and nature of narrative and fictionality. His distinguished work, The French Lieutenant's Woman, is of the nature of a pastiche, P-A-S-T-I-C-H-E, combining passages in the 19th century novelistic style, quotations from sociological reports, frequent authorial comments, passages from Darwin, Marx, Arnold, and Tennyson, and so on. In the course of the quote novel unquote bracket, if it may be called one bracket closed, the author himself becomes a character. And last but not least, Fowles offers two alternative endings, inviting the reader to choose the one he likes. Para. B.S. Johnson, 1933-73, went farther than Fowles in making daring experiments with the form of the novel. His overwhelming interest in the nature of narrative and functionality, together with his penchant for postmodernist techniques, makes him an avant-garde author of recent times. He is credited with the attempt to write a, quote, non-fictional novel, unquote, in See the Old Lady Decently, 1979, by making use of authentic documents and photographs. The Unfortunates, 1969, is another path-breaker. It comprises 27 loose-leaf sections, 25 of which may be read in any order, almost like the 5 sections of Eliot's The Westland, stop. Johnson's intention seems to highlight the arbitrariness of the structure of fictionality, as also the radical circularity of the mind. Para. The two directions in which English experimental novel of recent years has progressed are, according to Andrew Roberts, quote, documentary, objectivity, unquote, and, quote, perspectivism, stop, unquote. The Alexandria Quartet, 1957-60, of Lawrence Durrell, 1912-90, represents both these directions. Page 326. The intricate relationships within a community are intimated by a variety of narratives with different perspectives. Para. The Traditionalist. Retaining the socio-moral moves of the novel and its classic form, the Traditionalists too made substantial contribution to the English novel. Let us consider a few of them. Para. First, we have the group of novelists like Angus, Angus Wilson, 1913 to 91, and C.P. Snow, SNOW, 1905 to 1980, who carried on the tradition of social analysis, criticism and satire of their predecessors like Huxley and Woolf. Wilson's characters have a vast variety and all of them are rooted in the soil. Snow is known for his series of 11 novels, Strangers and Brothers, 1940 to 70. He is good at delineating the conflict between personal ambition and social conscience. He was a great champion of science and technology as against literature. This made him the better-knower of writers like F.R. Lewis, Leavis, para. The 1950s also saw the emergence of the so-called, quote, angry young men, unquote, who employed both drama and the novel for ventilating their criticism of English middle-class values and institutions. In the 1950s, middle-class respectable values were getting eroded by a large number of disaffected youth who were jobless and were becoming angry with almost everything time-honored morality, religion, parental authority, social stratification, and so on. The, quote, angry young men, unquote, include novelists like Alan Sillitoe, Sillitoe, 1928 John Brain, Braine, 1922 John Wyan, Wain, 1925 Stan Barstow, Barstow, 1928 and David Story, Story, 1933 para. Moral philosophers. Finally, there is the important group of novelists like Graham Greene, 1904 to 91, William Golding, 1911 to 93, Iris Murdoch, 1919 to 99, and Muriel Spark, 1918 who are partly experimentalists and partly traditionalists, but whose main contribution is their deep metaphysical exploration of the foundations of morality and the nature of good and evil, both in human and non-human contexts. Greene does not merely depict right and wrong, but fundamental good and evil. Instead of original sin, O.S. capital, he seems to believe in original charity, O and C capital, as the chief characteristic of man. Golding has shown impressive technical virtuosity as well as metaphysical profundity in his novels. While novels like Pincher Martin, which attempts to delineate the postmortem experiences of the protagonist, manifest the former, other like Lord of the Flies amply show the latter. The novels of Iris Murdoch, who is a philosopher as well as a novelist, have considerable variety. She addresses herself to the existential issues of identity and freedom as also ethical problems. Andrew Roberts observes this with exciting and sometimes macabre plots, elements of the grotesque and supernatural, and touches of social comedy, unquote. Muriel Spark appropriately started her career as a novelist with The Comforters, 1957, which in her own words is, quote, a novel about writing a novel, unquote, Her later fiction combines the comic and the sinister. Her novellas, such as The Driver's Seat, 1970, are extremely precise and concise in form and style, and still some others show the influence of Golding. Para. Trends in modern drama. English drama in the modern age may broadly be divided into two categories. First, there is the naturalistic prose drama, dealing with contemporary social problems, focusing attention on them, discussing them from various angles, and in this way provoking thought on these problems. Shaw and Galsworthy are the chief exponents of this realistic prose drama, para. The second significant development in the modern drama is the revival of poetic drama. Despite the efforts of the major Victorian poets, there was no tradition of poetic drama at the beginning of the 20th century. By 1920, there were signs of a rebirth, but the atmosphere in which realistic, naturalistic drama trope, I think there's a printing mistake, THROVE, was uncongenial to a play in verse. At the Abbey Theatre in Dublin, W.B. Yeats attempted to revive poetry on the stage, but he lacked the essential qualities of the dramatist. Stephen Phillips, 1864 to 1915, is a more important figure in the history of poetic drama. He wrote a number of blank verse plays, including Herod, Ulysses, The Son of David, and Nero, but he had little popular appeal. Masefield, too, experimented in poetic drama, but had only a limited success, while Gordon Bottomley, Bottomely, 1874 to 1948, who wrote a number of quite powerful poetical plays, saw hope for this form only in the amateur theatre. It was also during this period that John Drinkwater, 1882 to 1937, began his career with poetic dramas and achieved popularity with such plays as The Storm, The God of Quiet, and X equals to 0, A Night of the Trojan War, page 327. But the true poetic drama was that of J. M. Synge, which, though not in verse, had all the qualities which the others lacked. At this point, we may mention the work of Lord Dunsany, Dunsany, whose career as a dramatist began in 1909 with the staging of The Glittering Gate. One of the best exponents of the one-act play, he merits inclusion in any consideration of poetic drama, although he wrote in prose by virtue of the romance on which his plays are built and his ability to create a most powerful atmosphere, often of the East. T.S. Eliot, both through his theory and practice, provided a powerful stimulus to English poetic drama, and Christopher Fry contributed to it the, quote, theatre of words, unquote, and the, quote, comedy of moods, stop, unquote. Section 20th Century Drama, para. The dawn of the 20th century witnessed the emergence of drama, which had been neglected by the Victorians as a powerful literary force. All the conditions operating against the blossoming of drama during the Victorian age were gradually removed, and more interest was taken by actors, playgoers, and theatre managers in popularizing drama and making it a force to reckon with within the field of literature. As time passed, new trends were introduced in drama, and every effort was made by dramatists to make drama lifelike, realistic, and appealing to the common man. The moral taboos imposed on drama by the priggish, priggish Victorians were also removed, and dramatists were at ease in producing once again comedies of manners which had enjoyed their heyday during the Restoration period. The vogue for comedies was once again introduced in the wake of the social changes and democratic freedom that came with the new century. The new social problems rising in the new setup of values cried for solution, and drama seemed to be a fitting medium in which justice could be done in solving the social and economic problems of the times. The modern dramatist took his task seriously and gave a new outlook to drama which it had not seen in the Victorian age. Para. The 20th century ushered the new drama and lent it a vitality which was never felt in such a great measure except during the 16th century. One of the critics has very significantly remarked, quote, "During recent years the drama reached a standard which has never been surpassed except perhaps by the Elizabethans." Stop. The swiftness of this transformation is astonishing. Stop. In a search for comparisons, one speaks of revival or renaissance, or, a rising tide or a glorious dawn, semicolon. But the simile of the Cinderella leaps to the mind, stop, unquote. With the lapse of time, new features were introduced into the drama, and every attempt was made by tile dramatics to make the drama lifelike, realistic, and at the same time attractive to the common audience. The standards of play acting were also changed, or rather shaped, to the taste of the common audience who came to the theatres for recreation, that is, in order to forget the tedium of their everyday life, which became indeed very hard as well as mechanical during the period of great industrial developments. The standard of the taste of the audience also gradually improved, and with this improvement in taste, the playgoers ceased to be hooligans or vulgar spectators and listeners who formerly used to jeer at the actors and never permitted them to show themselves or the plays at their best. The Puritanic opposition to the theatre also gradually subsided, with the result that social plays or social comedies came to be popular. The modern dramatist took upon himself the task of reforming society by means of social propaganda through their plays. So the playwrights, the play actors, and the playgoers all contributed equally to the advancement of the drama during the 20th century. Para. Recounting the emergence of drama as a powerful force in our times, J.W. Marriott writes in The Modern Drama, quote, "Is it possible to account for the miracle that happened? There is no single explanation, but we can discern a dozen or more contributory factors, all of which seem significant." Stop. There has been a gradual disappearance of the ancient prejudice against theatre-going, a welcome relaxation of the censorship, a steady rise in standards of judgment, due to the spread of education, an increasing margin of leisure in the life of the ordinary man and woman, deepening conviction that a certain amount of recreation is the natural right of every human being, and the remarkable competence in theatre producer with his theories of drama as a composite art, a synthesis of all arts. The arrival of the new scenic artist and the stage, electrician has revolutionized production. But the greatest factor of all is undoubtedly the change in the dramatist himself. Stop. Page 325. The modern dramatist takes the drama seriously. His purpose is the interpretation of life, and playwriting has become an art as well as a craft. Stop, unquote. Para. In fact, in the 20s of the century, there is a clear evidence of a marked reaction against the naturalistic drama of the earlier years. There is conversely what Allardyce Allardyce, Nicole, Nicoll, in British drama Coles, quote, Renaissance, Ranscence, of imagination, unquote, stop. It could be Renassa. The ascendancy of imagination and the challenge to realism took in the field of drama three divergent directions as below. 1. The establishment of poetic drama. 2. The coming into its own of the modernistic continental school. 3. The arrival of the historical dramatists.